Then the next way in which the public debt can be paid off is by the method of export, creating an export surplus. Suppose an external debt has been taken, and that debt has been used for setting up an export-oriented unit. Export-oriented unit means a manufacturing unit which will only export goods to the foreign countries. Okay? Then that type of a unit can use its profits to repay back the loan. But then, if the loan is used for unproductive purposes, okay, that time no income will be earned. Hence, in that case, an export surplus has to be created. Export surplus means we have to reduce the domestic consumption so that we will have surplus goods for exporting, and the extra money earned will be used for paying back the external debt. Then we move on to the last concept or the last instrument of fiscal policy, and that is known as deficit financing. Then deficit financing is the method of meeting the budgetary deficit. Suppose there is a deficit in the budget, shortage of money, through public loans. Okay, it is an approach in which involves spending more money than is collected during the same period. Suppose the government has to spend more on expenditure, that time it will borrow. Implications of deficit financing are, it will lead to an inflation, that is an increase in the prices, because when the government borrows, the purpose of borrowing is to spend more money on the betterment on the welfare activities. That means the money will go to the people. As the money goes to the people, money supply will increase. As money supply increases, their purchasing power will increase, and it will lead to an increase in the prices. The next implication of deficit financing is it affects savings. Why? Because due to an inflationary trend in the country, prices are rising. Hence, people are forced to spend more. As a result, they will have less of savings. Then, it will have an adverse effect on investment, because through deficit financing, we create a condition of inflation in the country, due to which people have to spend more on purchase of goods, so they save less. As they save less, they are able to invest also lesser amount of money. Then the last one is, it leads to an unequal distribution of money in the economy, creating a situation in which the rich people get more money and the poor get less money. The rich becomes richer and the poor becomes poorer, because there are fixed wage earners. Their income remains fixed, but the prices rise up, so they have to spend more. Then we move on to the fiscal measures which can be adopted to control inflation in the country. First one is, we can do so. The fiscal policy can also be used to control inflation. Inflation means higher prices. We have to control that condition. Inflation, why? Because people have more money, so they're spending more, so prices are increasing. We have to reduce the money in the hands of the people. That can be done by decreasing the public expenditure. Public expenditure means government spending money on the people. If that is reduced, people will get less money. So, demand will fall down and price will fall down. Second, if the government has already taken a loan in the past and it's time for the payment of the old debt, the government should delay in payment of the old debt. Then, increase in the taxes. Government should increase the taxes so that money comes out of the people's hand, so that they are unable to spend, reducing the demand and controlling prices. Last one is overvaluation of the money. Increase the value of the money in comparison to the foreign countries, by which imports will increase and exports will be discouraged. Then the opposite measures can be used to correct deflation. A deficit budget can be created. Deficit budget means a budget in which the expenditure is more than the revenue. That means the government has to spend more on the people. Taxes should be reduced so that people are left with more money in their hands. Deflation is the opposite condition of inflation, in which prices are falling down. due to lesser demand. So we have to increase demand. By decreasing taxes, people will have more money with them. So they can increase demand and cure the problem of deflation. Next, government has to spend more on public expenditure. That means on the betterment of the people. The government has to spend more money so that people will have more money in their hands. Lastly, loans should be taken. What for? From the richer people. What for? To spend as public expenditure so that the problem of deflation can be solved. We then move on to the way in which fiscal policy can lead to economic growth. Economic growth, that means increasing the income of the people. Through taxation and public borrowing, government gets taxes from the people. Government can borrow and use it for saving, increasing the savings and investment of the people. Next, the government can give tax relief, reduction in taxes and subsidies to entrepreneurs so that they invest more money in the economy. Once investment increases, employment will increase and there will be economic growth. Then, the government can provide initiatives like tax holidays. Tax holiday means for a particular year, no tax will be charged. And providing subsidies to entrepreneurs to set up industries in the backward regions. Backward regions are those underdeveloped regions where there are no manufacturing units. Then, the revenue collected by the government from taxes can be used for promoting agricultural development as well as industrial development. That means people working in the agricultural sector and industrial sector will receive more of money and there can be economic growth. Lastly, the government can spend money on social overheads like education, training, research facilities and infrastructure like banks, transport facilities, etc., by which the income can be increased. Then we move on to how can fiscal policy bring about equity, that means reduce the inequalities in the distribution of income and wealth. That means make the distribution of income equitable, equal by reducing inequalities of income and wealth. The first method it can do so is by making the tax system progressive, that is charging more from the rich and less from the poor. And secondly, by charging more taxes on luxury goods which are consumed by the richer section of the society and less taxes on necessary goods which are also purchased by the poorer sections of the society. Then the government has to provide benefits to the lower income groups, and for that it has to provide free education, free medical facilities, food at subsidized rates, etc., which will be a benefit for the poorer sections of the society. It can also spend money on social security schemes like pension, unemployment relief, sickness benefit, etc. That means people who are unemployed can earn money from the government. People who are sick and cannot work can also get money from the government. Last, the government can undertake investment in setting up industries in the backward region so that we can remove regional disparity. Regional disparity means region-wise difference in development level. Some areas are more developed, some areas are less developed. And for that, the government should provide schemes like lower taxes, tax holidays, tax concessions to the entrepreneurs who are ready to set up manufacturing units in the backward areas.